Hello, everyone, and welcome back on a Friday afternoon in October 2024 to the next installment of The Other World. We're on chapter 5. One thing I know about myself, one thing I've observed about myself is I often can be trusted to be random. Here I am today, recording on the 24th. We'll see if I get it uploaded today, probably. And the other 4 chapters, the first 4 chapters, are already up on YouTube, so listen to them first if you like. Otherwise, you're jumping in the middle of a story. That's the main character in the story. I savored the delicious 4-course meal in such an upscale place. I particularly enjoyed their famous duck dish. The easy and joyous conversation we had during the meal strengthened the growing friendship and trust I felt for Michael. I had stopped worrying about high voltage hugs and secret services. Michael neither asked for the bill nor did he pay, which struck me as odd, but I was beyond remarking on it. We got up and he led me to an elevator. When we arrived at the second underground floor, the door opened straight into a swimming pool and sauna area. Light beams from behind big tropical leafy plants created an intricate pattern that bounced all over the place. The air was moist and carried a pleasant fragrance. Michael guided me to a rounded room adjacent to the pool area. It was decorated with ornate Roman-style couches and colorful tropical flowers. "Are you still sure you want to jump off the cliff of the known world?" he asked. I tried to ease my tension with a joke. "And find out that the world is carried on the back of a giant cosmic tortoise?" Michael laughed. "Yes, something of that amplitude." I sat down on a couch and looked at the dimly lit, unusual room. I've already left my known world, I thought, as I exhaled the air that I had been holding in my lungs. "What are you talking about? You sound as if I'm from the Middle Ages and you're about to tell me that the earth is round and travels around the sun." "Yes, absolutely," replied Michael, sitting on the couch opposite me. "But with a difference. This first leap is going to be bigger, and there will be more following, one greater than the other." I was stunned as I realized what he was saying and that he meant it. The bees of fear and excitement were again buzzing inside my entrails. Did I really want to change my perspective of the world that much? In a vain attempt to bargain with Michael, I said, "I am not aware of science being anywhere near that kind of breakthrough discovery." "That's because there is still a separation between the physical sciences and what I would call the mind and spirit dimension." I stood up as if I were going to leave, but remained there, standing. "What are you going to do now?" "Nothing, if that's what you want." He seemed more detached, his focus going inwards. "I've not come this far to get no answers," I exclaimed. "And what kind of answer do you want?" "Do you want food for your mind, or do you want me to blow your mind away?" "From where I am right now, I'd say blow whatever's left of it," I said, sitting down. Michael stood up and without a word began to undress. He did it so naturally, so matter-of-factly, that I felt no big surprise or discomfort. One by one, his elegant clothes landed on the couch. He even took off a ring that he was wearing. Finally, Michael stood in front of me, as naked as the day he was born. His body looked well exercised and lightly tanned. He closed his eyes. For a long minute, nothing happened. I waited, gripping the ornate armrest, taking deep gulps of the moist air. What is he doing? Faintly at first, but increasingly rapidly, I felt the room becoming electric, as if the air were charged with energy. The sensation reminded me of what I had felt during the hug with Alma and the massage with Chul. But nothing happened for another long minute. I was starting to feel the electricity on my skin. And suddenly it happened. With a rush of air, Michael disappeared. His absence only lasted a very brief instant. Then, with another ripple of air, another body materialized. A smaller body with darker skin, female, with long black hair, slightly wavy. I could not believe my eyes. It was Alma. She was standing in front of me, her eyes closed, immobile, naked. Time was standing still. As she opened her eyes, I lost my inner balance, nearly falling off the couch. She moved her arms and took a step forward in my direction. My heart was pounding wildly. I tried to shake off the dizziness, holding on to the headboard of the couch for some semblance of stability. Alma looked straight at me, and smiled. My ears were ringing loudly and my mind had gone blank. I was just staring at her. She stretched her arm, and her hand touched my shoulder. I heard her speak, but her words did not make sense. It was just noise, in what felt like a big, empty space. Then her hands were shaking me. I heard a familiar word. Luke. Luke. Then in one flash, it all came back. Michael, the restaurant, the basement, his body disappearing, being replaced by Alma's. Alma, who is now standing in front of me, shaking me. Alma, what are you doing here? Where's Michael? Alma's response threw me right back into the land of no mind. I am Michael. My eyes looked at Alma, pleading. I had lost my sanity. She seemed to read my mind. No, Luke, you're not crazy. Your mind just needs to catch up with what you've seen. What's what you've just seen. She stood in front of me, waiting patiently. I could only stare at her as my inner vertigo slowly receded. Finally, I managed to pronounce something coherent. Are you saying that you switched your body with Alma's like they do in sci-fi movies? Does it mean that Alma got your body? No, Alma is unaware of all of this. This is no sci-fi, but a way into my reality that I'm opening for you. Michael/Alma was standing very close to me, naked. I was starting to feel the awkwardness of the situation. Okay, so how do I relate to you? Are you going to put on Michael's clothes? I pointed at the pile lying on the couch. No, Luke, I'm going to put on the clothes which have been prepared for me in the dressing room. I could change back into my own body, but I think it's more useful for us if I remain as Alma for a while longer. How are you doing, Luke? I don't know. I'm feeling agitated, upset in the truest sense of the word. I feel like screaming, howling, like smashing things. That's how I'm doing. I warned you. But I didn't expect it to be something like this. You expected some magic trick, but this is very real. It's at the core of life, organic, essential, connected to the very fabric of this universe. Yes, it feels indeed like the fabric of my being has been ripped open. Nothing makes sense anymore. Alma put both her hands back on my shoulders, and I felt them strong and warm. Despite the bizarre situation, I felt comforted by the touch. Looking over where my cat disappeared to. I understand how you feel, Luke. Trust me, it's going to make sense again when you've shifted your perspective. She went to the changing room and soon came back, elegantly clad in a sky blue silk dress. She looked like the Alma I had known a couple of days ago. Beautiful, for me at that moment, disturbingly feminine. How can Michael be in Alma's body? I asked, still not able to wrap my mind around it. Let's get out of here and go for a walk. That will create a more suitable space for such a conversation. She took my hand and led me towards the elevator, not giving a glance at Michael's fine clothes that she was leaving behind. We exited on the ground floor and went straight to the main door. Seeing us coming, the porter hurriedly opened the door for us. We crossed the street and went down a flight of stairs leading to the Seine river banks. Let's walk towards Notre Dame. Notre Dame. Alma/Michael pointed straight ahead where the towers of the Paris cathedral were already visible. She walked swiftly, a happy spring in her steps, exactly as I remembered Alma walk, not as I saw Michael walking only minutes ago. I still could not believe what I was seeing. When am I going to wake up from this crazy dream, I thought. I hurried my pace to keep level with her. What should I call you? Alma? Michael? Or would Michelle be more fitting? She stopped and turned to the flowing river where one of these long tourist boats was passing. I could hear a voice commenting in English over the loudspeakers. She finished her half circle toward me. This is all easier than it seems, and more complicated than you would ever expect. Complicated in terms of involving things you have not any concept of, making it rather challenging to explain. Maybe you start with the easier than it seems part of it, I ventured, trying to sound cheerful. She threw her arms up, eyes wide. She whirled around herself and shouted, "Life's so good, you have no idea. It's very energizing to do this little exercise. Hey, Luke, relax. Enjoy the ride. Seize the day." I looked at her, a bit nonplussed. Little exercise? I'm not sure I can follow. What's happening to you? Come, shut up. Let's walk. I'm not ready to talk. This was very out of character for Michael. For the little I knew him, but part of me was going along with that new energy. Again, I tried to match Alma's swift pace. Somebody wants to play or eat. As the towers of Notre Dame grew bigger on our right, Alma slowed her pace and went to a bench that faced the cathedral on the other side of the river. "I love this place," she said, sitting down. As I sat next to her, I felt relief after the brisk walk. The air smelled of the dirty water and of the plant life living on the banks. The noise of the city was subdued because of the river being somewhat lower than the teeming streets. I closed my eyes, enjoying the sun's rays glowing red through my eyelids. I could feel an unusually high energy emanating from Alma Michael beside me. It was a physical sensation, like feeling warm next to a heat source. That energy connects all my crazy experiences to Alma's other world, I thought. We sat quietly for a long time before I heard Alma's voice. "How are you doing, my friend?" "I'm good." "How are your questions doing?" "They're gone. Seems they've taken a vacation since your little demonstration." "Would you like to discover more?" "You keep asking the same question. Have I not been clear enough before? I see that you have been evaluating me. Have I not passed your tests?" "Yes, you're right. I have been evaluating you. You are facing a big change in paradigm, a polar shift in most of your basic assumptions concerning your life and your world. Do you want to train me into becoming somebody like you who can change his body like this?" She laughed in Alma's light and charming way, and I had to shake off my inner confusion to actually hear her response. Far from that. The faculty of changing into another body is only a side effect of the energy of my world. I'm using it to train your mind to accept that physical matter is not what it appears to be. You've succeeded in that, but what now? I said, somewhat irritated. How long can you maintain Alma's appearance? As long as I want to. I am connected to the essence, the spirit of my friend Alma, and I'm expressing her physical appearance using the true nature of the power that creates everything in the universe. In this universe. She stood up and walked toward stairs leading to the upper walkway. I followed my incredible companion. We crossed the bridge and walked to the big plaza in front of the cathedral. Are you taking me to Notre Dame? I asked. I'm only guiding you towards the cathedral, Luke. You are free to go wherever you like, she said with a mischievous smile. I did not respond. I just continued walking. I must note here that I have mostly been referring to my companion in the feminine form as Alma. My awareness of her/him having been the man called Michael less than an hour ago had started to conveniently fade into my immediate perception of how things appeared. We passed in front of the outer gates of the immense cathedral, where beggars were plying their trade. We went straight around the left edge of the ancient building towards the entrance to the cathedral towers. A sign warned the visitors that there are 387 steps to the top. So, now you want to test my fitness, I joked. Is this part of your standard curriculum? She just laughed, and I followed her inside the old building to a narrow wooden staircase winding upwards. I followed her silently, mesmerized by the slow rhythm of turning along the spiraling staircase. As we arrived on the highest landing, bright daylight flooded the dimly lit staircase. I was dizzy from the long climb. Blinded by the light, I had to grab the railing on the narrow walkway to steady myself. Everything was blurry as I stepped outside. I turned, looking for Alma, and my heart nearly skipped a beat as a monstrously horned creature had appeared in front of me. Alma, who had advanced along the platform, was laughing, and I knew she had seen my reaction. Did you seriously think I had changed into a gargoyle? Who am I to know? Maybe you brought me here just for that purpose, I said, my face flushing. Without answering, she continued along the narrow walkway. I followed her silently, lost in an endless loop of vague impressions and very confused feelings. I had thought I had the main keys to the knowledge about the nature of the universe. Now it seemed that I needed to start all over again, right from the beginning. The scientist in me was excited about the prospect of making new discoveries, but my ego had a hard time letting go of all the foundations I had taken so much time and work to construct. I felt vulnerable. As I was searching for something familiar in my mind, the memories of my wife and children came flooding back. I felt an overwhelming longing for my old happy life to be restored. But even the last remnants of that were gone. She sensed my mental turmoil and said very softly, I know, Luke. It's not easy to let go of the old, sure knowing, things you have never doubted. It shakes your identity, the sense of who you are as a person. She stopped walking. The wind was blowing hair into her face. Nothing is really as it seems, and everything is much more than it appears, she said, as if talking to herself. Having spent the last hours with you, I tend to agree, I said with a thin smile, glad to feel some humor. On an impulse, I grabbed both her arms and held her in a firm grip. Just tell me who you are. Are you from that other world? Her arms felt warm and firm in my hands. I am a human being, just like you. Who are you? I repeated. Are you Michael? Are you Alma? Just tell me the truth. You're driving me crazy. A group of German tourists was trying to squeeze around us as we were taking up quite a bit of space on the narrow balcony. She also took my arms in her hands, locking us in a double grip. We humans are so much more than we commonly think we are. We are an outer being of flesh, and we are a vast inner being who in reality lives in the spirit world. We are fields of energy and streams of being and of consciousness, manifesting through the very fabric of the universe that we co-create. That is, in short, who you and I and all human beings truly are. But how could you become Alma so amazingly, so incredibly? I trailed off, not finding words which could express the turmoil of emotions I was feeling. She tightened her grip on my arms, and feeling the warmth of her hands only added to my confusion. This has to do with the stream of consciousness located in the spirit dimension. I can only do this in a very limited way, and only with people I have a special connection to, like I have with Alma. I have done that to create an opening in your mind, and so prepare you for more things to come that are beyond your world. Beyond your world. Why did you pick me? What are your intentions? Nobody picked you. It was Alma who saw you on the beach in India. Her only intention, at first, was to help a man who was obviously distressed. But how different are you from ordinary humans? We are genetically and physically absolutely identical with all people on this planet. The only difference being that our bodies have a higher dimensional essence. We are in many ways the future of humanity. How many humans are there like you? This is a question that right now I cannot truthfully answer, as there is a major factor concerning us of which you are not yet aware. But how do you explain that up to now, no significant information about your kind of people has spread all over the internet and other media? There have been very rare occurrences in the past where this nearly happened, but each time they have been contained by the likes of Alma and me. Enjoy a cup of tea if you like. And can I switch this around? I don't know how. I'll show you a beautiful view on the other side here. My boy's looking out the window. There have been very rare occurrences in the past where information about this kind of people has nearly gotten out into the media, but each time they've been contained by the likes of Alma and me, says Michael. Why are you keeping it a secret? Simply to protect ourselves, as these two worlds are too far apart in how they view life, in their connection to the planet and to the inner dimensions of spirit. We hope there will be a future where secrecy is no longer necessary. I hope I'll be able to show you that other world very soon. Then things will become much clearer for you. My emotions were welling up again. Soon, soon, always later. What am I to you? What am I to you? A guinea pig that you string along, doing your tests at your leisure? What is this world you are talking about? Is it real, or is it merely a metaphor? She let go of my arms and looked at me with an intense and worried expression. I keep telling you, Luke, you are a free person with a reasonable amount of free will. You can leave this whole adventure now or at any point in the future. But if you decide to continue this journey, the truth is that I am testing you. I am getting to know you and seeing if you can deal with the reality of that other world and whether I can trust you with that secret. You sound like you are from the Martian Secret Services planning to take over our world. I nearly shouted. I was getting upset again. What on earth was I doing with this creature on the tower of Notre Dame? I was getting scared, beginning to lose my ground again. Luke, she shook me lightly. I understand that you are upset, but we need to be in a different space to bring clarity instead of more confusion. Come, let's go. And remember, It's your choice. She just turned and left. I froze, overcome by panic. At that moment, it did not feel like I had any choice. What choice was that? To be left hanging with the biggest mystery and revelations only to be hinted at and not resolved. How could I live with that? I was scared and upset, but it became clear to me at that very moment that I had never desired anything more than to continue on that path. There was no more turning back. I straightened myself and hurried towards the stairs. Thus ends chapter 5. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you've been around to the end, do go back and watch the first chapters if you haven't yet, and things will make more sense. And have a wonderful fall, afternoon, or whenever you're watching this. Take care. Ciao.